Hi everyone, today Salesforce Consulting Admin Training Day 31. Today's agenda is we'll quickly go through the previous session overview and we'll start the lightning flows today. And we'll talk about the screen flow, lightning flows, and then we'll talk about the auto launch flows and what are the use cases of the lightning flows. We'll see each one of them and then we'll have today's interview questions. Now, quickly, before going through the lightning flows, what did we learn in previous session?
Workflows.
Workflows.
Process builder.
Process builder, yes.
Difference between workflows, process builder, lightning flows.
Right. So we have seen yesterday workflows and process builder and the differences between each one of them. Today our focus is on the lightning flows. What is the lightning flow and how to create a lightning flows? What are the different type of lightning flows are there? Everything we are going to see today. So first of all, similar like a workflow process builder, workflow is a tool, process builder is also a tool, right? Similarly, flow is also a tool. If you search in the setup flows, you can see here in the process automation, there is nothing but flows is there. So flow is also nothing but an application or a tool. By using these flows, we can automate the complex scenarios, or especially why they have introduced the flows is to make an admin very comfortable on this. So usually developers, what are the developers are there? They usually write the code, like a Apex code, they will write it. They will write Apex code. So in order to, like, instead of writing a Apex code for small things like sending an email, creating a record, or updating a record, or deleting a record, right? If you wanted to do any other action, or if you have any screens that you wanted to implement through the Lightning Aura, we used to implement a UI. So instead of going with the code, everything we can fix it through the flows. Everything we can implement it through the flows. So especially for the admin team, to make it more comfortable, whatever we are implementing the Lightning Aura visual course, all those things we can implement in the flows. That means if you have any complex scenarios, and if client asks that I do not want the code to be implemented, so they will say that we mostly want to go with the configuration piece. So in that case, what we can do is we can go with the flow definition. So sometimes it is very difficult to handle few scenarios in the flow definition. In that case, what we can do is we can go with the coding, right? So that if we implement anything in the flow builder, admin can handle from the client side. If there are any issues, they can debug and they can switch off, switch on the flow, right? So they can implement whatever is needed. So by using these flows, we can automate more complex operation than the process builder. Like in the workflow and in the process builder, we can do, in workflow limited actions are there, process builder more actions are there, but combination of all these along with that more complicated scenarios also we can implement in the flows, right? So inside the flow, if you click on a new flow, what it will ask is, it will take you to the flow builder. It will take you to the flow builder. So that means whatever you are running here, everything is on the flow builder. Everything is on the flow builder. So if I take, this is the flow, on top of it, this is the flow. And inside this, when I click on it, it will open another builder here, which is called as a flow builder. This is a flow builder. So all the configuration, everything is running in the instance of flow called flow builder. Either you wanted to create any type of flow, you have to step into the flow builder, right? So, and inside this flow builder, whatever is running here, it's called as a flow interview. It's called as a flow interview. For example, there is some logic that is getting executed here. Okay, create a record and send an email. So this, whatever is executing this flow, whatever is running it, it is called flow interview. It is called flow interview. It is called flow interview. So what everything is running onto the within the flow interview, right? So let's see few points here. So lightning flows. Flow is nothing but an application which is used to automate the certain complex scenarios. By using the flows, we can automate the more complex scenarios compared to process builder. Like we can automate the certain flows within the flow builder. And whatever is running within the flow is called as a flow interview. The instance is called as a flow interview. And flow allows to perform all the DML operations as we have discussed yesterday, like all the CRUD operations, insert, update, delete, everything can be processed. And flow can fire both before and after performing the operation inside the object. That means flow can, like a workflow or a process builder, can be performed. Workflow can perform only the after. Process builder can perform only the after. But whereas a flow can fire both before and after. So that means whatever we are doing it through the trigger, everything can be done through the lightning flows. So when it comes to the workflow, it is just a after. When it comes to the workflow, it is just a after insert or after update. After insert or after update. Even process builder is also after insert and after update. Now, whereas flow is nothing but it can perform both before and as well as after. Before and after, like a before insert, before update, before delete, before, right? Either of these things is similarly after insert, after update, after delete, right? Anything can be performed here. So flow can handle both of them, before as well as the after operations can be handled. And flow is divided into two types. One is a screen flow, second one is auto launch flow. Flow is divided into two types. One is a screen flow and the second one is auto launch flow. So flow builder is divided into screen and auto launched. Screen is only one type is there. Coming to auto launched again, it is divided into the different types. Auto launched record triggered flow, auto launched flow, no trigger. That means record triggered flow is nothing but similar to the Apex trigger. Like a before insert, if I'm updating a record or if I'm inserting a record. So during the insert of the record, I wanted to process it before insert or after insert or before update, after update, I wanted to trigger that. So in that case, we use the record triggered flow. Auto launched flow is nothing but it has to call from somebody else. This will not trigger, auto launch flow will not trigger based on the user input. Record triggered flow is based on the user input, it will trigger it. But this will not trigger based on the user input. Somebody has to call this flow. Then only it will fire. Then only it will fire. So either the flow is calling the another flow or a Apex code is calling the another flow, or else like a process builder is calling the flow. So either of this, somebody has to call this auto launch flow. Somebody has to call auto launch flow, then only the logic gets executed. Whereas record triggered flow is as soon as the user inputs are received, user is clicked on a save button, user is clicked on an update button, user is clicked on a delete button. Any action is happening on the user interface, this will trigger. But this will not trigger based on the user interface. Now the third one is scheduled triggered flow, whereas you can schedule it. And next one is a platform event trigger. And the other one which we have, a record triggered orchestration. So this is the new one, record triggered orchestration. So total 5 auto launched are there. So flow builder is divided into screen, auto launched. Again, auto launched is divided into the 5 types: record triggered flow, auto launch flow, scheduled triggered flow, and platform event trigger flow, and record orchestra. So here, if you see, here if you observe it, we have a screen flow, and the auto launch flow is divided into the 5 types: scheduled trigger, record triggered flow, scheduled triggered flow, auto launch flow, no trigger, platform event triggered flow, record triggered flow. These all are auto launched triggers, auto launch flows. Now let's see step by step each one of them. So first one, screen flow. Screen flow is, it provides the user interface. That means, so far, whatever we are implementing it a UI using the Visual Studio or Visual Force or Lightning Aura or LWC, whatever we are implementing the user interface, whatever we are implementing the user interface. Like I have a name field, right? So name and the phone number, email ID, and then clicking on a submit button. So whatever we are implementing using the code, this user interface, that can be implemented in the Lightning by using the screen flow. So that means by using the screen flow, we can implement the user interface where it requires the user input, So based on the input values provided by the user, it will perform the operation. So once the user has entered the details and clicked on the submit button, then there should be a flow gets hit on this. It will capture the first name and the email ID, phone number, and as soon as click on the submit button, so flow will call and capture all the user input and it will perform the operation. So which is nothing but a screen flow. So if you wanted to build any screens, you can use the screen flow. To design the user interface, we have a screen elements. And the next one is a auto launch flow. So auto launch flow is nothing but it does not have any user input there. There is no screens on the auto launched. Auto launched does not have a screens at all. It is just a operation, the execution, the logic gets executed. In this approach, flow does not require any input from the user. That means I do not need a screen here. It will just fire the action automatically based on the event in the background. That means on click of the standard, like Salesforce has a standard UI record, new record, right? When I click on a new button, the UI gets open. It will have all the information, and Salesforce has a standard save next, or save close and cancel buttons are there, right? So close buttons like this, it is there. So whatever the Salesforce is performing here, whenever we click on a standard save button, if we wanted to execute some logic at the background, then we need to go for a auto launch flows. Then we have to go for a auto launched flows. So auto launch flows is, again, it is subdivided to 5 types. So as we have discussed, record triggered flow, auto launch no trigger, scheduled trigger flow, platform event trigger flow, and record trigger orchestration. So record triggered flow. Record, the first one we are going to see is record triggered flow. So record triggered flow is when a record is created or updated or deleted. This auto launch flow runs in the background. This auto launch flow runs in the background. So record triggered flow, this flow will fire upon performing a DML operation on the object. Whatever the standard object is there, on the standard object, this will fire all the DML operations. And record triggered flow can fire on an insert, update, delete operation also. And the next one is a auto launched flow, which is a no trigger. Auto launch, which is a no trigger. So this is the one. So it launches when it is invoked by the Apex or a process builder or another lightning flows. So this auto launch flows are nothing but it is invoked. Somebody is hitting this flow, then only it is getting invoked then only it is going to call the auto launch flow. So this flow can be invoked from Apex programming or a process builder or any other lightning flows. Anybody can hit this flow. And the next one is a scheduled triggered flow. So scheduled triggered flow is it launches at specified time. That means we are scheduling a flow, kind of a time-based flow. Scheduled on the specific time, I'm scheduling a flow to execute the batch, or to update the certain records, whatever I wanted to do. So by using the flow also, I can schedule a kind of a workflow that I can schedule it on that time, it will execute it. Right? So the difference between the record triggered flow and auto launch flow is record triggered flow is it launches when the record is created, updated or deleted. Auto launch flow is somebody is invoking the auto launch flow. Schedule trigger is where I can schedule it on specific time and then the flow can be executed during that time. So by using this feature, we can configure the schedule job which will fire based on the specified periodic interval. So till the schedule time is up, it will resides inside the Apex queue. That means I have scheduled it today night. So what will happen if I schedule it today night, where my flow is getting sits into? So there is something option is called Apex queue. So all the flows, all the scheduled flows are sits into the Apex queue. And the next one is a platform event triggered flow. Next one is platform event triggered flow. So platform event triggered flow is basically it's a platform event message. So whenever a message is received, a platform event message is received, then I am going to launch, I'm going to execute the logic within the flow. That means from the platform event, a message should be received to the flow, then only the flow gets executed. So this flow gets fired when the platform event message has been received to the flow. We will see that. And then next one is a record triggered orchestration. So this is something, a new flow which is released in Spring 22. It was a beta version before that. Now they made it as a generally available Spring 22 onwards. So this flow is allow for multi-user, multi-step automated business process by stringing the multiple existing flow together. That means by using this flow, it can be allowed for the multi-user, multi-step, multi-stages automated business process by stringing the multiple existing flows. In other way, flow orchestras consist of stages, steps, flows, and decision. That means, or if you wanted to reuse the existing flow, with a different scenario, you can use the record triggered orchestration. If I have to give an example, let's suppose that the employee is onboarding. Whenever the employee is onboarded, multiple managers' input is required in order to onboard the employee. That means multi-user input is required, right? So multiple manager data is required in order to onboard it, right? HR manager and signature of the CEO, and then there are different managers and also team manager. All of these are multiple users. The flow has to go through the multiple users. Also, we have a different steps. First, HR has to be approved. Then it has to go to the CEO. First, the CEO has to be approved. Then it should go to the HR. Then again, it should go to the another manager. Then it should go to the team manager. Like multiple steps are there, and all steps are different stages. In those scenarios, what we will do is record trigger orchestration. That means I have a flow, existing flow only for HR. So I can reuse that flow and I can implement that flow by reusing the existing flow in the record trigger orchestration. I can extend my own flow. So we'll see one example there, no problem. So flow provides a group of elements. Till now, any questions? Whatever we have discussed, lightning flow, flow builder, different type of lightning flows here. If you click on this all template, you can see more flows here. You can see more flows here. But usually we will use only the one which are having here 4. Any questions?
Ma'am, can you explain platform event again?
So platform event is, we have to write a logic in the platform event. Okay, that is the Apex logic. Assume that I'm writing some logic in the Apex. So that platform event has to send a message to the flow. So whenever the flow receives information or kind of a hint from the platform event, now go ahead and execute the flow. In that case, this particular flow gets executed whenever the platform event is invoking this flow. This flow can be invoked only by the platform event. We'll see one example. So each one of them, we will see the examples. So don't worry about it.
So Swapna, in screen flow, we can build the UI, right?
Yes.
And the other 5 auto launched flows with the predefined, I mean, existing UI, we can use the existing UI, you are saying, right?
No. So screen flow is UI.
Okay.
And all these 5s are logic. Only the business logic. Only the
Logic.
business logic, no UI.
Okay. Okay, Swapna, we'll see it.
Yeah.
So, so for example, we are having Apex classes also, right? So when to use Apex program?
So it's totally depending on when to use the Apex logic. If you feel that, so for whatever we have created the Apex classes, like I have created the Apex classes to create an account or create a related account or something, delete the account. So in this case, if you think I can implement better in the flow without writing the logic. So if I have to write a logic here, I need to remember the instance has to be created. And then for this instance, I need to pass the data, all those things I need to do. Then I have to use the database.insert, right? So database.insert, and I need to pass the list of the records here. Then I'll say false. And then I'm going to capture the how many records are processed and how many records are failed, right? So those things I can capture it here. Till this point, till the insert, if you think, for example, you do not have a logic or you do not have a where the scenario is like there is a logic that how many records are processed. I wanted to know at the end. Assume that if you do not have that logic, till this point you can implement in the flow. In case if the requirement says that, okay, create a just account or create a related contacts or create a related opportunities. If they say that, then better go with the flow. But if you have some kind of a more logic, like I wanted to capture how many records are processed, how many records are failed, right, on creation, and also I need to store that information into another object. Like if you have these kind of a things, you can do it through the flow, but that is more complicated. But if you feel that development is more easier for me, you can go with the development. It's up to the developer how they wanted to build it.
It won't be no issue, right, Swapna? If I have created UA through the screen flow, if I have created through the logic, I mean, like, if I created through the Apex class, right, I can see the debug. Can I see the debug here?
Yes, we have a debug.
Okay.
We'll talk about it, debug point of view. Yeah, we have a debug. But creating an account, creating a related account, that you will go with the auto launch. You cannot go with the screen flow. If you are going with the screen flow, so better you need to give all the account fields. What are the account fields? Account name, account email ID. Again, you have to build the same screen. Whatever the Salesforce is providing, same screen you have to build it here. Okay, so yeah, so in case if you do not want the same screens to be implemented, I just wanted to execute like a record triggered flow. In that case, you can use the record triggered flow or you can create a Apex. Both of them is totally fine. So mostly the developers, it's up to the developer how they wanted to go for it, and also the client. Sometimes nowadays clients are saying that they do not want to implement a logic through the code. So few clients are saying that because once it goes live, they wanted to maintain whatever the issues are coming up, they wanted to maintain client itself, they wanted to maintain it. So in that case, their admin team can handle whatever the logics are there. If it is a development, it is very difficult for them to understand the code in the development point of view. So clients also requesting that, some of the clients are requesting that they wanted to go with mostly with the configuration piece, whatever the scenarios are there. Very less they wanted to go with the coding.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah. So now these all about the like different types of flows. Now we will go in depth. So flow provided a group of elements that can be automate the business process. That can automate the business process. That means if I select screen flow or if I select a record triggered flow, after selecting the record triggered flow, I need some elements. I need some elements where it can get the records from the Salesforce database, get the record. And once I update the few details, once the flow updates a few details, right? So flow is updating the few details. So here flow is updating the few details. Whenever the flow updates a few details, I need to do update record. That means update operation needs to be done. And this update operation, whenever I'm doing it in the flow, this has to be hit the database and it has to store the details into the database. So for get record, for update or for delete or whatever the actions I'm doing it here, for everything I need some container or some elements I needed it. So for getting a record, I need some kind of a screen. Updating, I need some container or some screen here. Or in case I wanted to check some conditions, based on the conditions only I wanted to update the record. Like account industry equal to banking. Only that scenario, only I wanted to update the account. Only this scenario, only I wanted to update the record. So I need a conditions also. For all of this, Salesforce is providing elements. There are some group of elements that can automate the business process, So flow is provided the 3 type of elements: interaction elements, logical elements, data elements. So basically this entire process is divided into whatever we are doing it through the lightning aura or a visual force or a lightning LWC, whatever we are doing it, everything is divided into 3 sections. Now, those 3 sections are, for example, if I wanted to, let's assume that I wanted to create a account. Okay, if I wanted to create account through the code, I need to create a UI. Assume that I'll be creating the UI. UI will have a account name, email, and the phone. What are the mandatory information are there? I'll take. So UI is the first part. And also in the UI, we have a save button. Whenever user click on a save button, the logic has to be executed. The logic can be any logic, like all the DML operations. The logic is kind of a create a record or update a record or a get record, whatever the records are there, get record or a delete record, right? So whatever this complete information is there, I wanted to capture the data, all the data on the UI, and I wanted to perform here, create a record and get record, delete record, right? These all are the logic that I'm doing it. Data elements is basically at the finally I'm doing the DML operation. Finally, I'm doing the DML operation. Now here, interaction elements are nothing but UI. Interaction elements are nothing but UI elements. Logical elements are nothing but create a record, delete a record, get record, whatever you wanted. And conditions also will come here. Data elements are nothing but DML. Now, interaction element. So as I have discussed, by using these elements, we can design the required user interface. So the user can enter the values in the field to perform the operation. Example, screen, action, subflow. I wanted to call another flow. Those all will be there in the interaction element. Logical element. By using these elements, we can check the conditions. We can define the variable, assign the values, iterate through the statement, like a assignment, decision loop, collection, sort. And data elements are, by using these elements, we can interact the database object and we can perform the DML, like a get record, create record, update record, delete record. So interaction will have a screen, action, subflow. Logic has a assignment, decision, loop, collection, sort, collection, filter, like a, in case, like if I wanted to assign some value, so I can use the assignment logic. If I have a decision, if something account active equal to true, then only send an email. If it is a false, then deactivate the records, something like that. And then if I wanted to loop through all the records, so in logic, I can use all the loop. Collection sort, in case if I wanted to sort the collection of records. Collection filter, after getting the collection of records, I just wanted to filter out them. So these all are available in the logic. And the data is a create a record, update a record, delete and get record, roll back. All the DML operations can be performed here in the DML. Now, before moving on, any questions practically? Now we'll see one example here. So I'll just show you the elements, then we can move on it. So we have if you click on a record triggered flow. If you click on a record triggered flow. So here, if you click on a plus button, you will see here interactions. Interactions are action, subflow, logic, assignment, decision, loop, collection, sort, collection, filter, and then we have a data, create a record, update a record, get record, delete record. These all are the data. So assignment, decision, loop, collection, sort, collection, filter are logic, and this is the interaction. Now let's see one of the scenario. So create a flow to send the email notification to the hiring manager upon creating a hiring manager. Upon creating a hiring manager. So that means whenever I'm creating the hiring manager, so let's open the hiring manager here. So similar scenario that yesterday we have implemented through the process builder or the workflow, same scenario we are going to implement from the flow. So whenever I'm creating the new hiring manager, it should go an email to the hiring manager email address. It should go an email to the hiring manager email address. So that's the same thing I'm going to implement it. So in order to implement lightning flows, first needed is an email. We have to create an email template with the required subject and the content. So we already have an email template. For the hiring manager. And we need to create an email alert. Second step is we need to create an email alert to specify the object name, recipient details, CC, copy, address, everything. So that means 2 steps are prerequisites. Now, if you go here, email template. So we have email templates. For the hiring manager, let's see which one is the right one. Onboarding notification. I think this is the one. For onboarding notification, we are going to create an email alert. So click on email alerts. Now click on continue. Now I already have a onboarding one. So onboarding notification is their current user where I'm using the email template onboarding notification. Perfect. So this is already there. So I'm going to use this. Then I need to create in this scenario. So to send an email alert. Which type of lightning flow we should be creating it. So here the business scenario. So let's take a high level requirement. So let's say high level requirement. High level requirement is upon creating the hiring manager record, we should be sending the email alert to the hiring manager, right? Now, this is the high level requirement. Now, what is the micro level requirement? Now, micro level requirement is first thing I need to know which object do I need to implement flow. That is the first thing. Second thing, what are the fields that are needed here? And third one is when should I need to fire? When to fire the logic, right? And after firing the logic, we need to send the email alert. These are the micro level requirement. Now the object is I need to use the hiring manager, because whenever the hiring manager record is created and I'm interested in, there is an email address. So email address is very important. So if I do not have an email address, then I cannot send an email. So I need to check the email address. When to fire? Like on creation of the record. So on creation of the record. Only hiring manager record. And then second thing, I wanted to check whether the email ID is there or not. So that means email address is not equal to null. This is I wanted to send. Then if it is perfectly fine, then hit the email alert. Hit the email alert. So this is what we are going to do through the flow. But here, if I'm going with the lightning flow, which one should I do it? We have a screen flow. We have a record triggered flow. And auto launch flow. Which is nothing but a no trigger. And then we have a scheduled trigger. Scheduled trigger flow. And then we have a platform event flow. Platform event flow. And then finally we have a record trigger orchestration. Okay, so out of this, which one should we go for it in this scenario? Which
Screen
one?
flow,
Why do we need to go for screen flow?
because user is inserting some data.
But here I'm saying that upon creating hiring manager record, that means we are going to use the standard layout here. Whatever the Salesforce standard layout is there, the standard layout, I'm going to use it.
We use record triggered flow.
Record triggered flow. Why we use a record triggered flow?
Upon creating the record, we need to send an email alert to the hiring manager.
That means after inserting the record. So after inserting the record, I need to send an email. So this is a fire is happening after insert. So after insert only can be done through the record triggered flow. After insert, it only can be done through the record triggered flow. So we will be creating the record triggered flow. In that, we are going to event is after insert, condition is hiring manager email not equal to null. Action which we are going to perform is email alert. In lightning flows also we have a event and action, evaluation and action. Evaluation is after insert, action is email alert. Perfect. So let's go ahead and create flow builder. Let's come back to the starting. Okay, so we have a, by default, Salesforce is providing some standard flow builders, flows here. So if you open any existing one, these all are the standard one, like a reset password. So this is a standard flow. We have not created any flow. So these are standard flows which are provided by the Salesforce. If you want, you can review it and see here. So whatever they are doing it. So start flow, get record, get records, screen flow. They are using the screen flow here. In the assignment, they are using all these actions are happening, send email, right? If you want, you can analyze this. You can analyze this one. You can analyze this and you can see what is happening on this one. So that is totally fine. So these are the standard Salesforce flows, standard Salesforce flows. So in case if you create it like this, it will be there. So unmanaged package type is unmanaged, and the DEC batch, whatever your owner name is there, and last modified. So whatever is Salesforce providing, those all are the managed installed. So those all are Salesforce is providing. So let's go with the new flow. So for this scenario, sending an email alert upon creating the hiring manager, we are going with the record triggered flow. By default, Salesforce is highlight the screen flow, but we need to select the record triggered flow. We need to select record triggered flow. Click on create. So whenever we click on a create, the first thing it is going to ask the object. The first thing it is asking the which object do you wanted to fire the record triggered flow, and what is the event, and what is the event. Now record triggered flow, I want it on the hiring manager. On the hiring manager. I need it on the hiring manager. When should event should fire it? When should the event should happen on the a record created, a record updated, a record created or updated, a record is deleted. Basically, we are looking for this scenario, a record is created. A record is created. So that is the first two steps. So we have given the object and we have given this. And the condition, do you want to specify any condition? As per our low level requirement, we need to check a condition. Email address is not equal to null. Then only we wanted to fire an email. So I'll say here condition is all conditions are met. All conditions are met. In case if you want only your condition or condition, that means either this or that or whatever you want. So if you want to go for a or condition, you can go for or condition also. Or if you wanted to implement your own custom logic 1 and 2 or 3, whatever you wanted to, or if you wanted to go for a formula evaluate truths. So if you wanted to build a formula field, so you can use the formula. This is similar to the whatever the formula field we have it exactly same. And you have an option here to check the syntax. Right, so I'm going with the all conditions are met. Now here I wanted to check the email address. How these fields are displaying here, how these fields I can able to see because I have selected on top object. Whatever the object is selected, those fields only I can see it here. Only those fields I can see it here. I cannot see other objects fields. Now these all are the fields which are part of the hiring manager. These all are part of the hiring manager, and I'm checking the email address. Email address does not equal to, we have a different operators here, equal to, does not equal to, start with, end with, contains, is null. Now does not equal to, that means I wanted to check if email address not equal to null, then only it should go inside of this flow. Right, so does not equal to null, I cannot keep it empty here. I cannot keep it empty. I should enter something here, right? I cannot keep it like a blank like this. In order to use the null or empty, we have a something called empty string, right? Empty string is nothing but not null, not null. So email address does not equal to null. It's a not null. That means it is having a value. So there are some global values here. Global values in case if you wanted to check whether the condition is true or condition is false, then you can use the global constants. In case if you wanted to check null value or empty value, then you can use empty string, which is nothing but not null.
Swapna?
Yeah.
There is one operator called is null. We can't use that one.
Is none. If you are using the is none, then you have to
Yeah.
use another global condition, which is
Yeah, false.
equal to false or a true.
Yeah.
Either of one, you
Okay.
can use it. If you are checking it does not equal to, then you can use the empty string.
Mhm.
Now that's it. Click on it, done. Now your record triggered flow is created. Your record triggered flow is created with the, we have a object hiring manager. Trigger is a record is created. How many conditions we are checking? Only one condition, which is email not equal to email ID, email address not equal to null. Does not equal to null. That is the condition we are checking. And optimize it for actions and related records. Okay. So these three conditions we have given. These three conditions we have given in the flow. Now, the next step is I need to fire. Now we are done with object. I have mentioned it is done. And field I have mentioned it is done. And when to fire I have created on creation of it done. Right now I need to do the email alert. This is a action. Email alert is a action. Email alert is a action. So for that email alert, click on this plus button. And now you have to use the related elements. Either do we go for an interaction, or do we go for a logic, or do we go for a data? Which one should we go with? Go for it for the email alert. Interaction or a logic or a data. Which one should we go for it?
Interaction.
Interaction. In that we have an option called as a new action. So when you click on a new action, you can see different options are available here. Different options are available. Like, do you wanted to user specific, or do you wanted to go for a notification specific actions, or do you wanted to use a task? Okay, you wanted to create a task like a change date or a change status, or you wanted to create a case, log a case or a new case, new child case, or you wanted to go for a account, new account creation, right? Contact, event, lead, opportunity, anything you can go for it here. Okay, but right now our scenario is email alert. Email alert sits into the type. Email alert sits into the type. So we have a core action, apex action, legacy, email alert. So if you select the email alert, see it is changing it. So whenever I select here, account, say search account action, contact, search contact action, event, search event action. If I type here email alert, search email alerts. So based on the selection of left side, the action is going to be updated quickly. The action is going to be updated quickly. Now here I'm going to select the email alert. So my email alert is onboard notification alert. So this is what we have created. And you can choose that email alert, and the label is, you can say that send email to hiring manager. Hiring manager. API name automatically comes, and if you wanted to add a description, you can add this. Now select input values. Select input values. Now select the input values. It is asking that give me the some record ID. Which record do I need to send an email? In hiring manager, I have a multiple records. I have a record, but still from the whatever we did it right now, whatever we are created the record triggered flow. So right now, whatever we created the record triggered flow, from this record triggered flow, this is a This is the record trigger that we have created right now. And this is a email alert. In the record trigger, we have specified the object. We have specified the object and the conditions, right? When to fire. And then we have mentioned the condition here. Right, based on that, I'm getting the record here. But these two are a independent elements. This is one element, this is one element, right? So this is one element, record trigger is one element, and this is another element, email alert. Now we need to enable the connection between these two. So that means from here, I need to connect it to the email alert. When I connect it, I should pass a record details to the email alert. When I pass it, I need to pass the record details. That means I need to pass the record ID. I need to pass the record ID to email alert. So that means enable the connection between these two and pass the record ID to email alert. So when we pass the record ID to email alert will look at the record ID. It will understand, okay, for this record, I need to send an email. For this record, I need to send an email. So similarly here, it is asking that input field is mandatory. In order to fire an email alert, input field is mandatory. Input field is record ID. So whenever you select it here, we have a different global values. We have a different global values like a API, flow, organization profile, record, setup, system, user role, different things are there. Right now, we are interested only on the record. As soon as I select it, I can see all the fields within that. We are going to select the record ID. So it is going to give us kind of a email merge field. Similar like a merge field, it is going to give me curly braces, exclamation, dollar, record ID. It is similar like in the Lightning Aura. In Lightning Aura, you are implementing a UI. You are implementing a UI and you are clicking on the save button. When you click on the save button, it goes to the Apex, right? In the Apex, assume that you are calling here Apex. In the Apex, you are creating the record. And finally, you are passing the record ID to here in order to display the record ID here. In order to display the record ID. When you pass the record ID, how can I display it? I can display it curly braces, exclamation, dollar. Whatever the record ID is there, the record ID, I can display it. Similarly, here also same thing. Similarly, here also same thing. We are using the, you need not to write it, you can select it. So it's all the, it all graphical user interface. So basically you can highlight this and select from the global variables, which are the ID you wanted. Always selected the record ID, don't pass any other ID here. And click on done. Click on done. Now the connection is automatically implemented from here to here, run immediately. It says run immediately. That means as soon as it is created the record, run immediately. There are two types of there, immediately and time dependent. So whatever we are doing it, it is a run immediately. Send email to hiring manager, email alert. Now we are done with the creating it. We are done with creating it. Now let's say, click on save. Right. Now let's give the name of it. This is a new hiring manager record. Okay, so email alert. Let's say that email alert. Email alert upon creating new hiring manager. Perfect. So here email alert upon creating a new hiring manager, a record. Now click on save. Now I'm saving the flow. So far I have not saved it. So in real time, whenever you are busy with implementing the flow, the first thing is that save the flow. Do not wait for till end of it. First save the flow, then start implementing your logic. Because sometimes what happens is, because after reaching to some place, you will see that there is something gone wrong. So what you will do, you will click on a refresh. When you click on a refresh, everything will go away because the flow is not yet saved. Flow is not yet saved. So always first save the flow, then start implementing it. Now you have a couple of options here on the flow. Whenever you save it, there is an option which says that run, debug, and view test, and then active save as. These are the different options which are available. We will see those options. Right now, I'm going to use the option called active. Right now, I'm using the active because so far flow is not active. So if I click on here, active, so immediately it will be active, and few, see here, active, it became deactive. Active tab is gone and deactive tab is displaying it. Now it says that version 1 is active, last modified a few seconds ago. And similar like a process builder, flow also has a versions. Flow also has a versions. In case if you wanted to modify anything here, now you cannot do it because in case if you want to do it, better click on a save as and then create a new version of it. And then so that version 2 flow will be created and you can modify it. Now it is a active. So let's go and create a hiring manager. So I'll take one copy of it. Just a second. So copy of it, yeah, I'll take this. Clone. So I'm creating 1, 2, 3. Same details. What I'll do is I'll click on a save. I'll click on a save. As soon as click on a save, then what will happen? The flow gets executed, right? It will take the details. Email ID is not equal to null. Yes, email address is there. Now I have received an email. So right now it is received. So 1, 2, 3, right? So it received just a 0 seconds before, 0 minutes before. Okay, so this is how the email will receive. Same thing, whatever we implemented with the process builder, we can do it through the flow. So that means whatever is possible through the process builder workflow, which is also possible through the lightning flows, which is also possible through the lightning flows. Right? Now, any questions on this scenario? Let's see one more scenario. Configure a flow on the hiring manager object to create a new related recruiter record. New related recruiter record. Let me drink some water. Just a second. let's assume that I have a hiring manager here, and then there is a recruiter record here, a recruiter object. So this is hiring manager object, and this is recruiter object. Recruiter object. Now assume that here I have a 4 fields, right? So here I have a 4 fields: ID, name, phone number, and then I have it some designation. So same data is available in the recruiter. So recruiter is, I have a ID and a recruiter name, contact number, and then title. And then finally one more I needed, which is a linking of this head recorded. So this is a ID and this is a name and this is phone number, designation. Okay. And similar like here we have a ID, name, recruiter name, contact number, and then title. Now these two are individual objects. These two are individual objects. Now what I wanted to implement is, I wanted to implement a relation between these two objects, a relation between these two objects. That means I wanted to implement a lookup relationship. I wanted to implement lookup relationship between these two objects. That means I need to create a lookup relationship on the recruiter. So recruiter is a child. This is a child. And hiring manager is a parent. Hiring manager is a parent. This is a parent record. So on the child object, I'm creating the hiring manager ID. So lookup field I'm creating here so that the relation gets implemented between these two. Now, whenever we create so I need to create a lightning flow on the hiring manager object. Whenever I'm creating a new record on the hiring manager, the same data copied to the recruiter and new related record should be created. On creation of hiring manager, new record should be created and the data. So hiring manager name equal to recruiter name, hiring manager phone number equal to contact, and the hiring manager designation equal to title. I'll be copying the data. So that's what we are going to do it. So for that, recruiter dot name equal to hiring manager name, designation equal to hiring manager designation, email address equal to hiring manager email address, recruiter city name equal to hiring manager city name, and recruiter phone number equal to hiring manager contact, and recruiter hiring manager equal to hiring manager ID. The last one in order to link them. I already have an object. I already have an object which is called as a recruiters. I already have an object called recruiters. So in this recruiter object, we have a recruiter name, city name, designation, email address, hiring manager. Right? So city is same as whatever the hiring manager city are the same options. Designations also have given the same options, whatever there in the hiring manager. So let's suppose I'm creating here one recruiter and let's say Hyderabad and designation HR executive, and I'm giving some email ID here. Right, hiring manager is some hiring manager data. I'm giving it, click on it, save. I need a phone number. Click on save. No. Now we directly created the recruiter record. But what I need is whenever I'm creating the hiring manager, whenever I'm creating a new hiring manager, automatically my recruiter should be created. So that means if I'm creating a new record of the hiring manager, related child record should be created. Related child record called recruiter record should be created. Recruiter record should be created. Now that's we are going to do it through the lightning flows. Now, here high level requirement. What is the high level requirement? We need to, upon creating the HR manager record, the child related or child record, which is recruiter. Recruiter record should be created. Now, micro level requirement. Now, I need an object. And is there any fields that I need to update it? And then when to fire it? And what is the action? What is the action? Now, what is the object that I need to create a lightning flow?
Hiring manager.
Hiring manager. Fields. All the fields in the recruiter. In the child record. And then when to fire it? When should I need to fire it?
Creating the record.
On creation of HM record.
On creation of HM record. Now, do I need to give any condition here? On creation of record, do I need to give any condition? Let's take the condition.
Fields should be
Let's take the condition. Hiring manager location should be Hyderabad. Only we should be creating the recruiter record for whenever the hiring manager record is created with the location called Hyderabad. And also the second one is email address not equal to none. Does not equal to none. That is when to fire. Action, what action we should be doing it?
Creating the child record recruiter.
Create a record. Action is create a record. Now, which lightning flow we should be go for it? Which lightning flow?
recorded.
Record triggered flow. Go back. Now, let's go ahead and create a new record, new flow. Now, let's say that record triggered flow and click on create. And what is the object that I should give here?
Hiring manager.
Hiring manager. When should it fire?
A record is created.
Record is created.
Okay. Now, next one is a conditions. What are the conditions that we have mentioned?
Location equals to Hyderabad.
For the pick list one, flow shows only the pick list values here, if you observe. Along with the global constant, it will give you all the pick list values here. So don't enter the value for the pick list, just choose it from this lookup, right? Just choose it. And then we have another one,
Email.
email address is not equal to none.
Please enter.
Perfect, let's click on done. Now what is the action that we need to do?
A record should be created.
Record should be created.
So which element should we go for? Interaction, logic, or data?
Data.
Data.
Create record.
Create a record. So we should go for create record. In the create record, we are creating the create related recruiter record. Same thing description. How many records we are going to create it? Only one record we are going to create it. Now, how to set the record fields? Use all the values from the record. That means whatever is there in the hiring manager, use all of them. Or do you wanted to specify for yourself? Use the second one, because that is where you have a developer will have a, you can mention what is the value should go into the specific field. Okay, so always use the second one in case if you want to choose what is the value that should be sitting into the recruiter record fields. Now, which record we are creating here?
Recruiter.
Recruiter record. So whenever you select use separate resource, after selecting the object, it will give you some options here where you can say that, okay, these all are the recruiter fields. So recruiter.name equal to, I wanted to use the hiring manager name. From where I'm getting the hiring manager, because record triggered, we have created on the hiring manager. Hiring manager name. That's the first one. And then in order to add more fields, click on add field here. Now, designation. Designation should be either you can choose the pick list values, or what you can do is you can choose the one from the hiring manager. Hiring manager also has a designation. So I'm choosing it from the hiring manager designation. Add new field, email address. Email address. So email address, also I'm choosing it for the hiring manager email address. And few more, like we have a city name. City name, you have a pick list values, you can choose the pick list values, or else you can go to the hiring manager. In the hiring manager also we have location. Location is nothing but city name. And add one more field. Observe this, as I'm adding the fields, next time when I'm trying to add a field, it is not showing me the previous fields here. It is not showing me the previous fields here. It is showing me the one which is available, the one which is not yet assigned. The one which is not yet assigned, only those fields I can see here. Now, if I select a phone number here, phone number, I can take it from the hiring manager, phone number. Phone number is contact number. Now, if I click on add, see, it is showing me the only two. Phone number is not showing. Now, the last one which I have a hiring manager. This is, I wanted to link it. Whenever I'm creating the hiring manager, create a recruiter record as well as link that related record to the hiring manager. So I need to take a hiring manager record ID. Now that's all. We are done with assigning it. Click on done. Right? So it is the same thing if we do it through the code. We have to write a lot of logic, right? So at least 20 lines of code we have to write it, or minimum 50 lines of code we have to write it. So here, just for using the user interface, like a drag and drop, or by selecting the fields, you can create it. Now we are done here. Click on save. Click on save. So we are doing it, creating the create a recruiter record. Create recruiter record. Click on save. And activate it. And activate it. Now, if you want to debug, you can click on this debug. That means you wanted to see whether this is running perfectly or not. So when you click on the button called debug, here few options are available. One is run immediately, because we have selected here run immediately. In case if your flow has time dependent or run immediately, both of them, in that case, it is going to show you the debug run, both of them, run immediately and time dependent. The second one is debug options. This one is skip start condition recruitment. In case if you wanted to skip the starting element, then in that case, you can skip it. Now, in order to execute, in order to run this debug flow, you need to select one hiring manager here. You need to give an input of hiring manager. That means it will assume that this record is getting created. Assume that it will record created. Now you can select here, click on it, run. Now, whenever we are running the debug log, temporarily it will execute it and then it will roll back the changes. Even if you have anything like we are doing here, DML operation. DML operations, we are doing it. So it will do the DML operations and it will roll back. And it will say that interview has finished, because whatever the flow is running, the running flow is called as a flow interview. Flow interview. So finally here it says that interview started, interview finished. So this entire thing is a flow interview. Now let's expand all of this. When the interview started, the debug was triggering if the hiring manager record was created. Because we have given an ID here, it is assuming that the record is created. DEC batch, the started the flow interview. API version, it is giving the which version we have created it. And some of these flow variables were set to the when the interview is started. That means the record and the flow start time, it will give that. And the start condition, that means we have a couple of conditions. And this record met the condition required. Location is Hyderabad and email address is samskarit@gmail.com does not equal to true. And the logic is all condition must be true. And this is true. So that's the reason it went to the next element, which is called as a create record, create related recruiter. Create record, create related recruiter. Here, creating a recruiter record, city name, designation, email address, hiring manager name, phone number, everything we are taking it from the hiring manager. So city name equal to Hyderabad, designation equal to HR manager, email address equal to this. HR manager is, this is the ID and the name equal to this one, phone number is this. Result is a record is ready to be created when the next screen is paused or local action is executed or when the interview is finished. So whenever the interview is end, then the record gets created. But during the debug time, debug is always roll back the things because we are debugging it. We do not want to insert any data inside the Salesforce. So that's the reason it will always roll back. And the last one is it will give you the how many seconds it has taken the interview and how much time it has taken to finished, when it is has finished it. So all the information, it will give you the details here. In case if you, this is a basic debug log. In case if you wanted to know API names, Garner limits, transaction boundaries, if you want to know these all also, you can select. For example, I wanted to know Garner limits. Okay, I have selected the Garner limits. Let's say expand. Now 3 filters are selected here. Garner limits are, so here is the Garner limits. DML statement 1 out of 150. DML rows 1 out of 10,000. Normal DML Garner limits is applied to the flow. There is no specific Garner limits for the lightning flows. Whatever the DML are there, those are the Garner limits. Right? So it will give all the information here in case if you wanted to know. So if I unselect, the Garner limits are gone. If I unselect this, the transaction details are gone. So there is no specific transaction boundaries here. And if I say API details, if I say API details, so API details are, right now we do not have any API, so it will not show. So those are the information. That's all. Now this is done. We have deactivated it perfectly fine. Now, next thing is we have activated debug is done. So this is how we debug it. In case if you wanted to convert this to the test, in case if you want to test it, you can convert this to the test. If you convert this to the test, it will ask kind of a test classes. Kind of a test classes. You can set the test details, trigger, pass, set initial trigger, record, set assertion. So these all will be there. So what you can do is you can select the details here. I'm entering the recruiter. And it is automatically taken the API created, run immediately, click on a save. And save assertion, it is giving me the save assertion. We'll see that later. For now, let's understand the debug. So in case if you want to edit the flow, you can go back to the edit the flow. So it will come back to here. In case if you want to edit the flow, click on a save as and create a new version. Now I'm going to create a new hiring manager. I'll take the copy of this. Whenever I'm cloning it. So I'll say here, I'll just say Salesforce 123, click on save. And the related record, let's go to the related record. Now it is created the recruiter. Now I'll be having two records into the recruiter. One is R1 and the second one is Salesforce 123. Second one is Salesforce 123. Clear? Any questions on the second scenario?
Yeah. Swapna, writing test, is it mandatory when it comes to flow?
No, it's not mandatory. It's a developer testing perspective, that is.
Okay.
Any other questions on this?
Yeah. Now see, we created two flows, right? One was sending an email, and second is to create a recruiter record.
Mhm.
Correct? They are both triggered after creation, after
Yes.
insert, right?
Yes.
So we can combine it as well, right?
Yeah, you can combine it. That
Okay,
is
that is
called
one.
as a subflow.
Okay, and other thing is, can we control the order in which it happens? Like I want to first send an email and then only I want to create a recruiter record. So is it possible? Because usually we cannot control the order of trigger, right?
So in that case, you first trigger here, create a record, and then you can call the subflow.
Okay.
So in
No,
that,
no, no, suppose now in the same flow, okay, can you just cancel? Yeah, if I say after run immediately, I say first action, okay, I create an action element, and then later I create a update, create this data element, okay. So it will first send the email and then it will,
yes,
okay, okay. So we can control the steps, the sequence.
yes.
Mm,
If you want to create a record first, create it and then add the action.
action, okay.
So let's see another scenario. Configure a flow to remove the related records from the object upon removing the parent hiring manager. So this time, whenever I'm deleting the hiring manager, usually whenever we have a lookup relationship between the two objects, if I have a lookup relationship between the two objects, if I delete a parent record, is the child record gets deleted?
Not it gets deleted. Only clear the values, not delete the child record.
It will not be deleted the child record. But I wanted to do the delete of the child record also through the lightning flows. So that means, so let's say high level requirement. High level requirement. Upon deleting the hiring manager record, delete all of them. If you have a one child record or a multiple child record, all the child records should be deleted. All child record, which is a recruiter, should be deleted. Should be deleted. For this, let's say micro level requirement, and the first one which I have object, second one I need to know what are the fields, third one when to fire it, when to fire, and then fourth one, what is the action need to be performed. Let me take a break just a second. Okay, so high level requirement is upon deleting the hiring manager record, delete all the child record, recruiter should be deleted. So what is the object here?
Hiring
Hiring
manager.
man-
Hiring manager. And what is the fields that I need to update it?
All the fields.
Basically, I don't want to update any field here because we are deleting the record. So I don't want to update any fields. When to fire?
Deleting the HM record.
Deleting the hiring manager record. What is the action?
Delete the child record.
Delete the record. Now, which lightning flow we should go for it?
Record flow.
Record flow. What is the reason?
DML operations are doing that.
So whenever I'm performing on the standard layout, the delete option, I wanted to perform after delete, which is a record triggered flow. After delete, record triggered flow. So let's go ahead and implement it. Let's go back to the flows. Click on a new flow. So usually if I write a logic for this, what we do? So first, if you write a Apex logic for this, what we will do it? If I wanted to delete the child records, what are the steps I'll do it in the Apex class? So first thing is I'll get the hiring manager record ID, which is deleted. Whatever the deleted is there, that ID I'm going to get it. So that means before deleting it, I'll capture the record ID. Then what I'll do, I'll get all the related recruiter records from the recruiter object. Through the SOQL. Basically, I'll be writing the SOQL to pull all the related recruiters. Then finally, what I'll do, I'll delete all the list of child records, which are recruiter. Right, which are recruiter, I'm going to delete it. So this is what we do through the coding. These 3 steps, we will do it through the coding. Now same thing what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do it through the lightning flows. Click on create. Now this time, what is the object? Object is hiring manager. Object is hiring manager. And when should this event should happen?
Record is deleted.
Record is deleted. And do I have any conditions here?
No.
I don't think so. We have any conditions. So let's click on done. So hiring manager, a record is deleted before the record ID is deleted. That means I hit the delete. This is a before delete operation. Now click on this plus. Now I need to get all the related records. So which one do I need to use it? Interaction, logic, or data? Which one I use it? I wanted to get all the related records.
Data.
Data, we have a get records. Get records. So I'll say that get related recruiter records. Fine. What is the object do I need to give here? Recruiter. No. Condition. Do I need any condition here?
No.
We need a condition because only related to hiring manager, we have to delete the recruiter.
ID equals to
Hiring manager equal to hiring manager record ID. Hiring manager record ID. Now I'll click on done. We are done with this. Let me edit this once again. So a record is deleted, none, nothing is there. Okay, fine. So click on done. So we are done with the flow. Click on save, delete, recruiter, record. So flow name always give which similar to what is the logic is performed within the flow, give the same name, almost similar name, because after few months, it is so difficult to identify what is the each flow is doing it. So whatever the logic you have written inside the flow builder, related to that, give a name to it. And click on activate it. Now, instead of debug, if I run it, I'm clicking on a run button. The flow failed to start because the provided value were not valid. You cannot launch the record triggered flow from the within the flow builder. To launch this flow, activate it and then create a delete, update, record, right? So basically, you cannot launch the record triggered flow from the flow builder. So mostly we use this run option for the screen flows. It is better to go for a screen flow. So we will see during that time. And we are done with doing this. Now what I'll do is I'll go to the hiring manager. So let's take,
Swapna.
yeah.
Yeah, but this flow will only select the IDs, right? It won't delete.
All right. So we have to
Use the delete
another
one.
action. The action that
I think we
have to
can directly use the delete also, no, without using get related recruiter.
Okay. So what is the action do we need to use it in order to delete it?
Delete element.
From data elements, delete.
Data elements.
Data elements, delete.
Delete.
So we have a new delete here. Now let's say that delete record. Right, so this is the delete record. Now use the IDs stored in the record variable or record collection. What is expected here? Collection is expecting. Now, can I give without get elements? Can I give all the collection variables here? Can I?
No, Swapna. But if we selected other option, I think then we can achieve the result. No,
Which
there are
option?
two options. No? There are two options, right? Here, specify condition. I did it that way. So if I
Specify
select
condition, you can specify it.
Yeah. So rather than specifying the condition in the get record, directly we can specify the condition here, right?
Yes, you can specify the conditions and you can mention it here. Okay.
Yeah.
But few developers, what they do is they will collect it and store it in some place here. They will collect it and store it in some place, and everything all together, they will try to delete it. So few
As a
developers
best practice.
directly go with specifying the conditions, and few developers will store all the record collection in one place, and then finally we can delete it.
Okay.
So let's go with the delete record. Now I'll use the existing one, recruiters list. Now click on it, done. Now we have a delete record. Let me debug it. I have not saved it. Cancel, save as. So I'm creating the new version. So click on a save. Version 2 is created, and this one I'm going to activate it. Now let me debug this. So it is asking the hiring manager details. The one which I have created. Swapna, Salesforce 123. So let's select this, click on run. So interview is started, condition, and the get related records. It is successfully got the records, and then delete the record. So all the records whose ID are in get related record, recruiter records, are ready to be deleted when the next screen pause or a local action is executed when the interview is finishes. Now click on a rollback. When we click on a rollback mode, any change or a delete, like debug is going to be rollback everything. Now this is fine, it is working fine. So let me go ahead and delete the Swapna Salesforce 123. Click on delete. Now it has a related record called R1. So R1 also should be deleted. Delete. Hiring manager is deleted, as well as the recruiter R1 is also deleted. If you go to the recycle bin, you will see child record as well as the parent record. Both of them you can see. Clear? Now, next one. Yeah.
Swapna, I have a doubt that for deletion, okay, we have only before trigger, right? We don't have after trigger, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Because after deleting it, what we will do it? Will not have any information. So it is basically, this is the before trigger, before delete. Now the next one is configure a flow to insert a new hiring manager record inside the object. Now, here it says configure a flow to insert a new hiring manager record. So high level requirement is create new hiring manager record. Right, it's just say that insert a new hiring manager record inside the object. That means user input is needed here. User input is needed. It says that create a record, create a new hiring manager record. So for this micro level requirement, is we need a user input here, right? User input. That means I need to build a UI, like a hiring manager name, location, and phone number or a contact number or email ID or designation, right? So these all fields I need to build it. These all fields I need to build it. Now after building it, now I need to create the record. So the object is hiring manager. Object is hiring manager record. Field, whatever the UI, on the UI, user has entered the data that I need to capture it and store separately to the object fields. Store separately to the object, whatever the record object is there, in that I wanted to store. And then when to fire, basically on clicking on the save button in the UI. So here when to fire is already started here UI place. And the action is create a record. Create a record. Now let's go ahead and see this. Now, which lightning flow should we go for it?
Screen flows.
Screen flows.
Screen flow.
Now let me create a new flow. Click on a screen flow, click on create. Now, which one should I need to go for it? Interaction or a logic or a data?
Interaction.
Interaction screen.
Interaction screen. Now, here on the screen, this is a flow label. Flow label and bottom. So it has a header, footer, and inside it, the content we can place it. Inside content, we can place it. For example, here you have a, do you wanted to show the header or not? No, I don't want to show the header. Okay, so if you select this, the header is going to be shown. If you unselect it, header is not going to show. Configure the footer. In the footer, show the footer, but I do not need a previous button. Next or finish button, let it be the standard, and hide the previous button. In case if you want to hide the pause button also, you can hide it. I'm hiding the previous button, I'm hiding the pause. So both of them I'm hiding it. So here I'm creating a, let's say, hiring manager. I'm creating a HM. Now inside this, I need to drag some fields. We have a components as well as the fields. Components are nothing but kind of a data type. Like I have a currency data type, data table data type, date, time, dependency, email, number, name, password, phone number, all these text, display text, long text, URL. So these all are the components you can directly drag it here. Fields, if you want a record fields, like a record variable fields, if you want any record variable fields, you can add it here. So for now, we just need a hiring manager name, which is a text field. So let me search here text. So we have a text, long text area, display text. Now I need a text. So I'll drag the text. Now name of the label, I'll keep it as a hiring HM name. Or let's say hiring manager name. And if you want to make it this field as a required, then you can check this. So that means it is a required field. Now, if you want to display any default value, you can display any default value. Set compatibility visibility. Like, do you want to display this field always? Or is there any condition, like based on the previous field value, I wanted to display this field. In that case, you can select here some conditions here. Validate input. So whenever the user is entering some data here, do you want it to validate it? So that is for the validate input. And if you wanted to add any formula field for the validate input, you can add the formula field like name, length should not be greater than 12 digit. So if you add this, like user is entering more than 12 digit. So whenever they go for more than 12 digit, you check here what are the user is entered here. The name is, length is not greater than, if it is greater than 12, show the validation message here. And in case if you wanted to provide any help text here. So here small icon. So if you wanted to provide any text, you can provide it. So those are the options. But now we are going with the label and the require. This is the hiring manager name. Now, what else I need whenever I'm creating a hiring manager? Now, whenever I'm creating a hiring manager, click on a new button. Hiring manager name, email address. Hiring manager name, email address. Now, let's go to the flow builder. Now, let me take the email address. So we have an email. Let's drag it into the here. So right now, this is an email. I'll say email. Okay. So these all are disabled global constant false, or if you wanted to make anything read only false, if you wanted to make it as a read only true, you can update this to the true. Or do you wanted to make this field as a disabled, you can make it as a true. But right now we want user to enter here. Placeholder, you can give any placeholder, like I can say that name and let's say gmail.com. So name and gmail.com, read only required if you wanted to make it as a required. So instead of false, just to use it as a true. So it is a required field. Set compatibility advanced is, do you want to manually assign the variables or refresh input to incorporate the change else? Like these are the advanced features which are not needed right now. Set compatibility visibility is basically, do you wanted to display this field every time or based on some condition? Now, next one, I'll also take it as a location. For the location, we have a location here. Location is pick list value. Location is pick list value. So I'll take the pick list field. I'll drag the pick list field here. Okay, pick list field. I'll say that this is a location. Location, and it is a required. If you want to make it as a required, you can make it required. Data type text, and here choice. The pick list fields. If you want to create your own, you can create a pick list. Okay, you can, if you click on here choice. Okay. Let user select multiple choice. If you want user to select multiple choice, you can select here multiple choice. So if you select a multiple choice, it is only for the multi-select pick list and checkboxes. If you say no, it will be pick list and radio options. So right now I'm going with the pick list and choice. Choice is, if you click on this choice, we have a different resource type here. Do you want to create your own choice? That means, do you want to build your own? Or do you want to bring the client one? Do you want, that means whatever is available in here. So record level, whatever is available, that the same pick list values, I wanted to bring it here. So in that case, what I'll do is I'll use the pick list choice set. If I use the pick list choice set, and let me give the API, this is a location. Object, hiring manager. Hiring manager. And now here data type is pick list. And I have a two pick list fields, location and designation. Now I can select location. Default order of field, or do you want to put it as a ascending or a descending? Whatever the option you want, you can select it. So this is how we are going to choose the pick list values that are available in the object level. We can choose it directly. So what is the resource type? Resource type is pick list choice. Resource type is pick list choice. So when you select a pick list choice, you can select the pick list field values from the object and you can bring those fields here. Click on done. So now it is updated the choice list. Now, if you want default value or a compatibility visibility, that's all same. Now, the next one, which I'm going to give you, also the designation. Let me give you the designation. So that is also another pick list field. So let's say this is designation. Now, pick list choice. Now I wanted to create a new one. So pick list choice list. This is a designation. Now object is hiring manager. When I click on hiring manager, data type is pick list and the field is designation. Click on done. Now I have a designation. The object level fields are available here. Now what else I have here? That should be fine. Contact number. I have a contact number. So let me take phone. So let me place this here, phone. So phone is contact number. Label phone. If you want any pattern to display here, you can choose all of this. If you want it to be required, so if global constant equal to true, then it is a required. What is happening? Required. Contact number, API name. Contact number. Okay, so required. So I'll say true. So it is a true. And value, in case if you want any value to be displayed. So right now we do not want. So that's all. Click on done. So we are done with implementing the screen flow. So the screen has implemented to our mandatory. What are those? API name location is already used in another element or resource. Okay. So location name. Designation is also used, designation name. Now click on done. Now hiring manager screen is created. Hiring manager screen is created. What is the next step that we have to do? After creating record. Create a record. Create a HM record. Now, do I want to create a one record or multiple? One record. I'll go with one record. And use a separate resources. Yes, I wanted to use the separate resources. Object hiring manager. Hiring manager record. Now, contact number. I wanted to take the contact number of, which is phone. Value. Right? So contact number value. Add. So next one is a designation. Designation, we have a designation picklist field. Add. Now we have email address. So there is a email address value. Add. And what else we need? Name. Name is, we have a hiring manager name, HM name. Add a field. What else we have? Location. Location. We have a location name. I'm taking the custom fields here, not from the record level. These are the custom fields which I created in the screen. Do I have anything? Current CTC is not there. Let's create a current CTC. I'm giving you some name here. Or let's delete it. Now this is done. Now I have created the record. I have created the record. Now let me click on a save. Create new HM record. Click on save. Now before activating it, I wanted to debug and see So if I debug it, now it will give screen flow, it will give this alert. In case if you have any input variable in the screen flow, it will ask the input variable here. And these are the options. By default, it will ask. If you do not want to run the latest version of the each flow called by the subflow, you can unselect it. So that should be fine. So click on a run. So when you run it, I have the details here. Hiring manager. So let's say Raj Kumar, and the location, Bangalore. See, whenever I did not give the any validation here, because we made it as a mandatory, it says that complete this field. It is similar to the how the standard one is showing us. So let's say Samskar. Let me give @gmail.com. Designation, I'll take a HR executive. Phone number, we can give any phone number. Now click on it next. Already my interview is started here. Interview started by whom? By the user. User has started the interview and transaction is committed. Any record the flow was ready to create, update, delete. So I'll click on a next button. When I click on a next button, it says that create a record, create HM record. So it is created, it has taken all the information, whatever I have entered here, the Raj Kumar, Bangalore, and the phone number, everything has been taken. Now transaction has been committed. In case if you want to run again, you can run again also by changing the input. So this is the debug details. It will give more information. It will give more information. Now let me go back to here. Now if I click on a run, if I click on a run, now for screen flow, I'm running it here again, Raj Kumar, and location, Bangalore. Let me give Raj Kumar 123 and Raj Kumar 123@gmail.com. Designation, HR executive, phone number, some number. Click on next. When I click on in run, what happened? Again, it gave me the new one. Again, it gave me the new one. Again, it gave me the new one. What are the previously entered? It's gone. Run is basically, actually you are creating a record. Actually, you are creating a record. Now, why do we have a run? Because how do you test your screen flow here? How do you test your screen flow here? You cannot test it. You cannot create a new record here. You have to create a record from the flow. So that's the reason they have given a run command here. So when you click on a run, that means it is actually executing the real record data. That means once you click on a next button or a submit button, then it will be created record. It will be created a record. In case if you wanted to test here, what you can do is go to the object manager and go to the hiring manager. So there are multiple ways to test it. Screen flow. One is directly clicking on this run button. So when you click on a run button, it will create a record inside the object. Now I have a hiring manager, click on a button. Here, click on a new action. When you click on a new action, you have an option here along with the create record, send email, log a call, lightning component, lightning web component, flows. So select a flow. Select a flow. So inside this, now we have created the one. Where did we create it? I did not activate it. So let me activate it. Create new HM record. So it is not showing here. Let me refresh. Click on a flow. Create new HM record. It is displaying right now. And if you want to create here, create record. Create new record. Click on save. The action is created. Now I wanted to place it here. Right? If you place it here, then it will be displayed. We will see that how to place it on this next class. But this is how you can create the record and you can place it there. If you place that action here, by clicking on that action, the window gets opened, which is a custom one, the one which we have implemented here. Similar like this. So like this, a window gets open. A model gets opened here. Okay, that we will do it tomorrow. Now, homework, configure a flow on creation of account. If account last name is not null, then create a new related contact record. Second one, configure a flow to remove related contact records, all of them, all the contact records from the object upon removing the parent account. Whenever you are deleting the account record, all the related contacts should be deleted. Now the next one is configure a flow to send the email notification to the HR email ID upon creating the position record. So whenever you are creating the position record, we wanted to send an email to there is a field called HR email ID. For that email ID, we need to send an email. Any questions on the homework? Now the questions. What are the different type of flows are available?
Screen flows and auto launch.
And auto launch.
In the auto launch, how many are there?
5 are there.
What are those?
Record trigger, schedule,
So automation flows.
no trigger, auto launch, no trigger, schedule time,
Schedule trigger flow.
Record triggered flow, schedule triggered flow, platform triggered, auto launched, trigger.
orchestrate.
Right. What is a screen flow?
UI part.
To build an UI,
To build a user interface, we use the screen flow. What is the different, like this is, what is schedule triggered flow?
We have to
Based
schedule
on the
the
time based, we
That-
have to
the time.
use.
If we wanted to execute time dependent flow, then we have to go with the schedule triggered flow. What is record triggered flow?
The flow launches when record should be created, updated.
Deleted.
What is platform event triggered flow?
When there is a platform event message triggers.
Send to the flows, it will trigger the lightning flow. What is auto launched no trigger?
It was invoked by the Apex programming processes.
Other functionality is hitting the auto launch. Somebody is invoking the auto launch flow. So what are the different interaction elements are there?
Action. Screen action.
Actions of flow.
Screen action subflow. What are the different type of logic elements?
Conditions. Iterations,
conditions, iterations, collections, collection sort, collection filter. What are the different type of data elements?
or DML.
Create a record, update a record, delete a record, getting a record.
Right. So what did we learn so far?
Lightning flows. Types of lightning flows.
Types of lightning flows. Elements in lightning flow.
Yes.
Screen flow. We have seen the auto launch flow and use cases of the each of them. So we have seen today use cases of the record triggered and screen flow. Now, these are the trial heads. These all are flow concept. So let me give you these links. So the first one is a flow orchestration. The latest flow, whatever is added, that is the one. And then this is a build flow with the flow builders. This has all of them. Both are same. Please practice the trial heads. That's all for today.